Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the 13th Fleet After Action Report. As you'll notice by the graphics, this is the first time that it is going to be exclusively Armada, and moving forward, it is going to be exclusively Armada from here on out. We will be doing shows every other week, so I hope you guys will join us. Right now, we have kind of started on a series, but we're going to get more into that here in a moment after I introduce the crew that we've got going on tonight. So we've got Garrett, we have Nick,
Hey, everybody.
and we have Reuben,
What's up, everybody?
which Nick and I were not able to attend the tournament this past Saturday, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to just give some folks an idea of what was going on this Saturday at Miso's in Louisville. So I'm going to let Garrett and Reuben go on and let us know what happened there.
I'll talk about logistics.
Sure.
All
Go ahead.
About. So we had a tournament at Miso's in Louisville. Went really well. I want to say we had 16 people. I think 6 new people. Like their first tournament ever,
Yeah,
which is pretty
16.
cool. Ton of fun. We had lots of variation in fleets. Just a lot of people came out. Everyone was excited to play. We had a 3-rounder. And Miso's, the store, has a bunch of stuff in stock, which is pretty awesome. So if you need stuff, like, go there and pick it up. Like Rogues and
Rebel
Villains.
Pelta. Well, not Rebel Pelta. Gar Pelta.
Republic
Even
Peltas.
rarer.
Maneuver tools, just all kinds of stuff. Other than that, it was a good time. Big shout out to Jeff Runge, who runs the Louisville Armada community now. Which is really cool to see because like years ago we were really new, and now he is in charge of that. He does a really good job of demoing and doing outreach.
Yeah, he does.
So huge
He's
thank
put
you
in
to
a lot
him.
of work.
Yeah, and it went great, and hopefully we'll see a lot more there.
You said there was a lot
fleet.
of variety in fleets that were going on there?
Yeah, there was like an equal number of Empire, Rebel, CIS, and Republic. So
Really?
all the ships were there too. So it was great. I think the only thing missing was Nick's SSD, so that's his fault for not coming.
Yeah.
But I ran trench and it was
us.
fun. I was like dead middle of the pack there. My squadrons just had the worst time like getting kills in, which is pretty. My whole fleet is just squadrons, so I was like, all right, well, there goes my momentum. But anyways, that was me, and Reuben will talk about his stuff.
Sure. So I did the old night before the 3-day casual tournament waffle and went from 75 with the CR90, which you've seen on stream, to Starhawk, which is something I've flown a shit ton of. So not a huge diversion from what I know. Still running this E-Wing ball with Corn Horn. I went with Corrin, Jen Ors, Finn Rao, and Ketsu, Anya. 3 E-Wings. So 7 squadrons, and with Finn Rao and expanded hangar bays on the Starhawk, you can push all 7 in one go. My round 1 was against Gar, so flag bridge, well, not flag bridge. It was a flag bridge, Venator 2 with Mercy Mission, C70, then Acclimator and Navuta B, typical loadouts, Axe, Anakin, arcs, 1 arc, 4 B-Wings, fairly typical list. Let's see here. He took first on me because he had bid, picked my my asteroid tactics, standard deployment. I didn't catch him. He came in at a weird angle, so I got this oblique where his ships were stacked up behind each other, and I turned my Hawk in too tight, turn 2, so I wasn't able to catch the Acclimator well. So the snipe's really interesting. I haven't played this that much, right? I'm maybe like not even half a dozen games in, like 3 or 4 maybe. And I was able to actually attack Anakin because he was slightly out of position, not covered by Axe, with the snipe. It took my whole squad ball, but I dropped him because that's Anakin. He'll live through everything. Garrett knows about that because that happens to him round 2. But long and short of it is, I won the squad war. I played 2 KG with all the snipe. I learned that you really need to push in if they don't have counter or escort, you can just push your squadrons into your snipe squads in, get that extra blue die, torn 4 reroll, flight controllers. You're throwing 5 with reroll. That's how you actually push through a squad fight. You don't push through a squad fight shooting 4 blues with a reroll. Like, the +1 doesn't sound like a lot, but I've learned through 3 games altogether, it actually is really meaningful. My game 2 was versus Garrett, which was always happens. You don't go to a tournament and play all new players. Never happens. Never will happen.
You gotta hate that though.
Yeah, it sucks. Like I, the worst part is I played Jeff round 3. So I played 1 new player the whole time I was there. So all I was doing was, broing around and talking shit to people and sounding like a madman because I played these people like dozens and dozens and dozens of times now. So everybody is like, "Why is he doing?" But that's pretty typical.
And that guy's a jerk. How's he talking to
right,
them like
right?
that?
It's the rules of tournaments, man. You're always gonna play your local.
Always, man. Sucks. That's why you gotta go to those big GTs to play new people. Garrett took my surprise attack, and really the inflection point of the game was we played KG that first round, but he turned hard into me and then said, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna keep it speed 3 and dump past you because you're a Starhawk. You're not gonna catch me." But when he alphaed into my squad ball, Ketsu lived through 5 attacks,
It was just an absolute.
It was wild.
And my whole game just fell apart when I couldn't kill that 4 health squadron and 5 dice attack.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then the funny part about it is that then he takes all the unity flak with the blue-black, and all the snipe comes out, and he doesn't get any counter on my guys because I actually stay far enough away, and then you snipe them. So you negate the counter, which is really interesting strategically, how you can negate escort and counter by being very specific with your movement of the squad ball. And I was then able to use wedge to get all the generics away, so they weren't sitting in engagement range. So I could then move them around and manipulate their distance and keep managing the threat range of the engagement. Because if you move away, then escorts Wat Tambor, right? Totally useless, because suddenly all these E-Wings that snipe can effectively apply all their damage to just one target instead of being stuck on Wat.
Yeah, and you had Unity and Torn Far.
Yeah, it was wild.
So he got 2 hits on each of my squadrons. Off that.
Savage.
It was really bad because my whole fleet's thing is I get rid of your squadrons immediately, and then I move out of the flak problem. So I just couldn't.
So what I'm hearing is that we can confirm that Reuben is a jerk.
I mean, I only squeaked out a 7. So
Unity jerk. Yeah, I mean, sure. I conserved points as much as I could.
That's what I learned with this whole Starhawk that's not bidding really hard thing. It's really, really hard to get 8s because people just fly away from you. Everybody knows how to deal with it. The basic level of play, because we're such a small community and we're getting new players, but we have also had you're a new player for 2 years. So even a new player, they get that information because they play a lot and they don't drift off. Because it seems like Armada, once it captures somebody, it captures them hard. And they'll stay, and they'll put in the time to grind the games that they need to grind. Anyways, my round 3 is versus Jeff. So, Jeff goes to his round 2, and whoever he plays picked abandoned mining facility, and Jeff gave him the business, apparently. So he's with me on table 2. And I pick a surprise attack. And Joff goes, "What?" Because he's sitting there watching the game because we had a drop, so he's hanging out being a full judge at this point. And I have not played a game that I've had to be more technical, more precise, more cognizant, have more foresight of Armada in probably since Worlds. Most of my World games were not as technically challenging and exhausting for me to mentally play as that game. Because it's Draven, it's minefields, it's Ezra, it's surprise attack. And I sweated fucking bullets and squeezed the tactical rock, blood out of the tactical rock that was that game for 6. And it took every ounce of my ability to not fly my stupid fucking Starhawk off the edge of the table. Because he deploys to my inside corner. He puts the station distance 5 from my left and distance 5 up. So it's in the far left corner. And he puts a mine on it, and he puts the obstacles out, and he puts mines on those. So I've got 3 mines around me. And I'm like, I can deal with this. So I put myself down where I can get 2 flak on all of them. And I'll LTTs whichever ones I whiff on. I move so that I have Torn Far in range. I drop the black, spicy move, for the Torn Far reroll. Cap both of them. And then I nav, because Draven doesn't trigger until after you've done your thing, so you're gonna get 1 off. So if you can do 1 squad, like 1 command, and then as long as you can push through tokens, you can keep doing whatever else, but you can't really be flexible versus Draven. So I just kept pushing the squadron command token so I could clear the raid and keep squadroning. Because he deployed the Rebel 1 to my inside, like all the way to his right in the corner, I kicked way hard into it and like pointed the Starhawk right at the corner. And any of you guys that know anything about Starhawks, like speed 2 larges will move, and it's turn 2, and I'm pointed at his corner. And I'm at distance 5 from my edge, so I'm like way fucking forward. I'm in the middle of the board, turn 2, pointed at his short corner. And I'm like, fuck am I gonna get out of this and not fly off the board? Turn 2. I have to go. Okay. I did. And it's 4 commands. I forgot to say. I have to deal with mines, raid, mine, surprise attack, Draven, and I have to think 4 turns ahead.
Yeah, if
my
you guys want,
hair is on fire.
If you guys want to see how big of a technical challenge this is, there is a game a few weeks back that is on the YouTube channel between Garrett and Jeff was playing this same basic build there, and yeah, it was nightmarish watching that matchup.
Jeff's getting really good at Dravening.
He's getting good at it, yeah. Like, now, I don't think Draven's worth that many points, but like, what he's doing is working. Like, it's working. Maybe we can tinker with the squad ball some, because basically the in and outs of this game is that I turn hard into him because I'm table 2. I'm trying to get fucking 2nd or 3rd at this event, so I need to snap my poor friend's neck for points. Like, it's got to happen. But he's got engine techs and Ezra Bridger on this stupid Rebel 1, so it just whips right by me because it's speed 3, and I'm a Starhawk that's rated for nav, so it's not like I'm going anywhere anytime soon. But I was able to kill all his squads for like 2 of mine. I didn't get a 7 because he killed Corrin. That's how, like, the margins of that game were so tight. And my turn 4, I was just plastic distance 5 from Torn Far, kind of in the middle of the board, to the Starhawk, looking like probably distance 3 or 4 from the edge of the board to get the nav token to him, because I'd already cleared the one that he gave me, so that I could dial token to 0 and not risk it at all. Because I was terrified. I was terrified of working so hard to eke out this 6 to then fly my stupid brick off the board and lose it all.
Give Jeff the 10.
And and give Jeff the 10. But like, in the end, I only got 6th because like I couldn't. You got to break through for 8s, right? At events like this, you need 9s or 10s, and there was like Evan played a variation of Tiger King, and he mopped the floor with some people. Like, I wish I could have seen his games because he did the work on some people. Onager went kaboom. bad.
Yeah, Tiger King is Radis MC80 Liberty.
Yep. And then,
And then the winner was Damon, who flew an Akbar.
which is funny because it's a very similar build to what I was playing before I decided to play this 75 stuff. So
Akbar is crazy good, man, with an assault
Dude,
frigate.
yeah.
He's always been good.
It's just one of the things where, like, if you give him the opportunity, he'll blow medium and large ships off the board in 2 rounds.
I wonder if I could get this whole snipe thing to work with that old list.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, Damon did win with Akbar. He got first, and the Onager ISD got second in the end. He leaped ahead in points. I can't remember his first name. It's Colin. I think his last name's Schumann.
I don't know. Like he's a Tennessee guy, so he drove like 4 hours or something wild.
Super nice of him to come up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was an awesome event, and we hope to have some more. As far as event news goes, our grand tournament application for Kentucky did not get approved, unfortunately. Yep. And I know it's because of Gen Con. Our area is too close to Gen Con, and it is a grand tournament. It just sucks because it's expensive to go to. So overall, the tournaments near us are grand tournaments are Gen Con, PAX Unplugged in December, Nova Open at the end of August, and Richmond Open next May.
Yep.
Is when that occurs. And those are like the closest ones to us. So, and then we did get confirmation from AMG via Will Schicken, via Kravik's channel, that we will be getting sword kits sometime in this year. They did not give a date, but us and X-Wing are both getting them. And that's really the biggest news we have. But today's meat and potatoes is we are doing ion cannon review, and there's only 9 of them, so this won't take forever.
We hope.
We hope.
We can go 2 hours, baby.
Oh yeah,
so,
we can
all night.
So right off the bat, there's only 2 bad ion cannons, which is impressive in this game. The first and worst is the NK7 ion cannons. It is a 10-point upgrade.
Okay.
It's exhausts, and it is a blue crit ion cannon. It's exhaust this card to force the defender to choose and discard one of its defense tokens. And like, it sounds pretty cool on the surface, but it's 10 points. It exhausts, and the opponent gets to choose which one it discards. So, in a game where timing matters,
because it's a critical effect,
right? And so, in a game that matters timing wise, they're going to get rid of whatever defense token they don't need, their contain or their salvo, and
it's going to be a contain.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just not a good card. That's
and for 10 points, you can't even like try to spam it on cheap ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's horrible.
Yeah, you couldn't set up like, okay, I'm going to do CR90Bs with NK7s so that I can hit you 2 or 3 times with it, make you burn all your defense tokens before my Liberty shoots, but you're not spending 30 points on that machinery to make that happen.
What was this released with?
So I just looked that up.
Because we're the deep cut
NK7
channel
with
Imperial Star
Wave 2
Destroyer.
ISD.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so
It's a Screed. This is I think the idea behind this was Screed. But
yeah, and there wasn't a lot of options back then, so it was the first. I think it was the first crit blue.
is this same wave as dual turbo
No,
laser
never mind,
turrets?
it wasn't.
I think other stuff. I think all these actually came out pretty early. HIEs, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Because
it is a sad thing.
You can see the similar design between how this card is limited, like how dual turbo laser turrets is limited, because they were so afraid of making dice manipulation and critical effects so overwhelming that they really limited it with the exhaust.
Like what they could do.
I'd be okay with the exhaust if you got to choose, if the attacker chose.
Man, if you
That'd
get
be
to choose,
bonkers.
this card would be taken.
It'd be so good.
Yeah.
And it would be worth, I don't know, probably 13 points. Like expanded launchers, right? That would be crazy cool.
Man.
And we will stop wishing now and move on to our next topic.
Yes. So the next worst card, if y'all have nothing else to say about that one, is
I've never used
high-capacity
NK7s.
ion turbines. Now, high-capacity ion
Wait
turbines
a minute.
are at
Hang
8.
on. I'm defending my boy. This should not be an F.
Okay, well it is, because it's a modification, and it's 8 points. And all it does is increase your left and right hull zones by 1 blue die.
Yeah, it's great. Okay.
Okay, I guess you could explain why it's good.
So, if you're flying a Starhawk Mark II, and you don't need, and you've got enough bid, and you have the 134, when you put the high caps on it, it makes its side shot the same as a home one. So, if you get that when you get the double arc off, because all you're going to do is nav, and like bounce your tokens around and go play with yourself. You shoot them with that double at medium, and then they go, all right, I got around his side. Oh, wait. It's a whole nother 6 dice. You got him. It was the original build, Garrett. The original build didn't have point defense ion cannons. It had high caps. I think high caps, legitimately, good card.
Well, that's great for all those years ago in that specific situation.
Not F. All I'm saying is that, NK7s doesn't have a place.
F.
This has a place.
I'm willing to come over to Reuben's side on that one too, because high cap, it's just like any of the other ad cards. They're all good. They're all pretty good.
High cap,
adding a blue out of your
bats.
sides is not. It's not bad. Take up your modification. I mean, that kind of hurts. The Starhawk has a turbo laser slot, so you could say, oh, you could put QBTs and get the same effect out of it for, I don't know, what's the points on the high cap? Is it
You're bringing
points.
LTTs
8 points?
on Unity.
You're bringing LTTs, right?
You're bringing LTTs.
Let's say for some reason you're not bringing LTTs. I'm just saying, like, the effect could be replicated. You have other modifications you might want to use.
I think the only real limiter for this is that there are extremely small numbers of ships that are specifically broadsiding ships that have an ion cannon and a turbo laser.
But
And this
if
also
it
came out
has
with the Liberty expansion.
I just want to ask if
Weird,
it has,
which is a ship that doesn't use it.
if it has a turbo laser and it has an ion slot, usually isn't your modification going to the turbo laser? This is a legitimate question. I don't know the answer, so.
LTTs is not a modification, so you're never upset if you take LTTs because your modification is being used somewhere else.
And I would probably build this thing to have XI7s in the turbo laser. If I'm going to do a bunch of dice addition for a broadside attack, it's going to be like Akbar XI7s. High caps. It's weird. It's absolutely fringe. It's limited by the ships that exist in the game.
Yeah. Well,
there's
there's
maybe
the
we
defense
say
of it.
D.
Yeah, it's
I say D.
super specific.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just
and
because it's not as.
And now it's almost never going to be taken. I'm sorry, Nick.
What? Oh no, I'm not gonna take it.
I meant interrupting you. I apologize.
Oh no! Oh yeah, gotcha. It's like never gonna take it. It's like, oh, it hurts. Yeah, I think the other factor though is that so many more ships have turbo laser slots than ion cannons, and so like you said, it's limited more by the ships. It's also the fact that kind of like the turbo laser thing. There's just so many better options that you don't want. Your ion cannon is usually not going to be going towards adding more dice. It's usually going towards, well, we'll get to it. Some of those other fun abilities. So,
well, for all done with that, mixed feelings. The next card I want to talk about is the MS1 ion cannons. This is an interesting card because it's 2 points, and it's a blue crit effect, and it's choose and exhaust one of the defender's upgrade cards. This is a weird card to build because it's not for your fleet. It's to mess with the other person's fleet. And I think this card is more valuable now than it used to be because there's a lot of cards in the game that became exhausting that didn't used to be exhaust.
I should put this in my 75 float tip and CR90 fleet.
So, like, for example, Turbo Laser reroute circuits on CR90s didn't used to be an exhaust card. Now they're an exhaust card. So this is like something that could be used against.
And
but again,
welcome,
it's
Marzums.
Yeah. Wait, what'd you say?
I said welcome,
What's up, bro?
Marzums.
Oh, what's up, Mars?
Hey.
But yeah, MS1 ion cannons, 2 points, weird ability. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's a card.
I really like this card. It's really interesting. It's really technical. It gets a little hung up by its timing. Because if you're not first player, you're not going to give somebody the old bop and then jumble up their whole plan. Because if you were first player and you shot them and you took their ECMs and went, boop, they're having a bad time. But if they're first player, they're going to
They can't. The timing still works in ECM.
Like,
technically.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's a weird.
But things
Well,
like
let me-
TRCs, things like
hold on,
Phylon Q7s.
let me kind of back that up there. And when you're talking about the timing issue, the thing is, the trick to this is using it on a ship where you're not really concerned about the major damage. And so if they're using their ECM, then they're wasting their ECM on the lesser of the shots. At least that's the way I perceive it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm talking about specifically, I have this on my CR90B that has Ahsoka Tano and Projection Experts on it. And then it comes up and it goes...
Do you really want to use that now? Well, guess what? You can use it now,
or like
but you're not going to use it later.
Your Vet Gunners goes, whoop, and I go...
And especially in the case of things like ECM, anything that requires a token to refresh is so much more painful to be able to hit it with this. Because on one hand, I've got my Raider 2 with decaps and weapon battery techs, right? I've got MS1 ion cannons. I'm gonna hit you from a distance, long range, all the way from downtown. I'm gonna exhaust your ECMs before my ISD2 goes, and now you can't ECMs. Now I'm gonna hit you, block your brace, and you take 7 damage, but you still have to spend the token to refresh your ECMs.
And it's suggested that it's good against spats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can turn off some spats.
Anybody's attack, right, that you can nullify before they go. It's good.
And how does that interact with swivels on the timing of that?
So, it's not as... You would shut the swivels off for a turn since the swivels has a Confire token on it. They would just spin the Confire token to then refresh it at the end of the turn. But then they could concentrate the next turn.
I will say most people will have their swivels prepped and ready before you ever get the chance to exhaust that card.
Well, that's true. But I'm just curious because swivels, isn't it when you reveal command, you can exhaust this card to choose one of your hull zones. If you prematurely exhaust that card, they don't get to choose a hull zone.
Like, Patriot Fist Enjoyers are going to be swivel in turn 1.
Well, yeah, everybody will. Right.
I'd be the jerk that if I had a couple of spare points, I'd throw it on a Gazanti to shoot at their Gazanti that has parts resupply.
That would be actually pretty annoying.
Oh, that'd be irritating.
Use.
That's a good one.
Although I guess they just scatter it.
I say you gotta get it to stick, but yeah.
Scatter my one blue.
I think the funniest use for this card would be against Piet. Right.
Oh my
god!
God.
Take away their whole fleet thing.
Oh no!
Exhaust your commander. Sorry.
Either exhaust Piet or exhaust like interdictor title on the interdictor. But anyways,
we have become the Ion trolls.
Yeah. Is everybody said their piece on this?
Jeff needs to know about this card. Put it with Draven.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, right. We'll brew up some nasty with this.
Yeah, MS1 ion cannons came out wave 4 with both the interdictor and the Liberty. Just
interesting.
Yep.
The next card I think we should talk about is ion cannon batteries. This is a good card. So all the rest of these are really good.
Okay.
Okay.
This card,
I was coming to the defense.
Like legitimately, this is a card that I look at all the time and go.
Let me read it. So you choose and discard 1 command token from the defender. If the defender does not have any command tokens, the defender hull loses 1 shield in zone instead. So it has a really cool effect, and it has a backup effect. So, because that's double dipping damage, by the way, because you still count the crit hit on the ship.
Yep.
But anyways,
This is a
great.
blue crit, by the way.
Blue crit. This is great against people with their boarding trooper crap. That's where this card shines.
See, my
You get rid of
problem
their
is
squadron token.
this is something that I could really see on the build that I've been running if it weren't for the fact that there is something just so much better for what for keeping me alive.
Sure. I will say I ran ICBs, ion cannon batteries, on my super for like 4 or 5 months, maybe 3 or 4 months. But I took it to Worlds. I mean, this is my upgrade, and because the super, one of its big weaknesses is being the target of everything coming. So, ion cannon batteries lets you stop boarding troopers. It lets you stop that ECM refresh. It lets you get around a lot of shenanigans that your opponent is relying on doing. So much of the game now is built on token passing and token generation and refreshing certain abilities. And so ion cannon batteries lets you stop that. Oh, you wanted to push squadrons? Nope, sorry. Well, that extra one. But some people, is it Yularen, I think, the pushes 2 with the squadron. There's so many ships now and so many combinations that rely on using their tokens, and you get to choose which token. So you look at your opponent and say, I know what you're doing. Hit you with the blue crit and zap that token. No more nav token. If they got nothing else, no more nav token. No more engineering to refresh your ECMs at the end of your turn.
And Marzum said he also took it to Worlds, and the best part, it doesn't exhaust and get double art.
Yeah. Like, this is... So, we're seeing the kind of tech that makes good cards, okay? Doesn't exhaust. Isn't a modification. Has 2 effects. Like, has a backup. It's not just doing this one little thing. It's doing that. Or it does a damage to your shields, which is also just really good. Now, this card's great. It doesn't see play because they're just, like, flat-out better cards, and the meta around ion cannons is warped. But, like, just to note, don't expect this card to totally annihilate your enemy's machine. Like, you're not going to shoot ion cannon batteries at them and then suddenly their whole game plan is just shredded.
I feel like Jeff needs this, though.
Oh, yeah. But competent fleets are going to have, like, 1 or 2 comms nets. They're going to have Ahsoka Tano. They're going to have Hondo. They're going to have... who are you using, Garrett? Which one is it? Not Tix. It's
Rune Hako.
Rune Hako, right? Like, there's a lot.
Or they're going to have damage control officer.
I mean, I guess like only you will have that. But
That's a good card. ICBs and DCO on an SSD is like super insurance.
That was oh my, I learned it the hard way, but that's my favorite. Like, that's now my like staple SSD now.
But what you'll give yourself is you'll give yourself that one critical turn of slowing them down. And if you can capitalize on slowing down their machine of efficiency, that one turn to kill that large, great card. But you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yep. And I love that, the whole Marzai, the double arcing of it. It's just so good. Next,
especially with you go.
Oh, you're good. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say this works with things like XI7s where you're hitting twice, same hull zone, lose a shield.
Yeah, that's why it's a good card, right? Yep. I mean, it sucks that there's better cards in this because this is really like an A tier card. The next one we're gonna talk about is another A tier card, and you guys love this one: SW7 ion batteries.
Yeah. This is not an A card, baby.
While it's S. He's called an S. While attacking a ship,
card.
Each of your unspent blue accuracies adds 1 damage to the damage total. 5 points.
Yeah.
This thing is wildly good on ships with lots of blue dice.
Okay. All right. So all you people here that think that this is only an A card, tell me what do you do? What do you do when the damage floor of an attack is 4?
Brace my ACMs.
Okay,
What did you
great.
say?
The
The
damage
attack
floor
is
of this
4?
attack is 4. If a Superstar Destroyer, well, not a Superstar
I don't know what
Destroyer.
you're asking.
If an ISD-2 shoots at you and it has SW7s, the minimum amount of damage it will possibly do is 4.
Oh, I see you're asking. Okay.
Its damage floor is 4 damage.
You're
okay?
saying the word floor. FW.
Yeah.
FLOOR.
FLOOR. Like when we talk about the defensive nature of ships in this game, we talk a lot about how we mitigate damage and what's efficient damage packets that mitigate ship defenses. Efficient damage packages are like 3 to 5. Or you're up in like the 12s. This card says my attack is going to be so massively consistent in its output that you're going to suffer no matter what you do to deal with this. Specifically, the Liberty with Mon Cairn and XI7s and SW7s kills dead.
I actually know the answer to this question, but I feel for newer players it is a question that needs to be asked, which is, if you roll an accuracy on the dice, do you have to spend it?
No.
So the way to answer your question fully, Chris, the way your attack works is spending an accuracy is written as a while attacking ability, just like LTTs is while attacking you can reroll a red. And so when you roll your pool, you may spend any number of accuracies while you're attacking. The way SW7s works is when you, at the end of it, after you do spend defense tokens, you get to the resolve like damage effect. You then count unspent accuracy icons as 1 damage.
Right.
So they're kind of resolved in 2 different parts of the attack.
Right. It's just, to be fair, if you roll an accuracy on the dice, then you do not have to use that as an accuracy. You can just let it pass through, and then with this card it becomes damage rather than canceling out an ability. Exactly.
But to counter Reuben's point a little bit, I'm going to push back on you a little bit. Why this is not S tier for me is that, well, kind of like I said, if you're attacking me with that and your floor is 4, I'm likely going to take 8 or 9 damage anyway. I'm already prepared for that mentally. I've got ECMs. I've got my large ships already ready to take this kind of damage. When you hit me, you look at my defense tokens. Maybe you have XI7s, and you don't need to use the accuracies because I can't redirect all that damage. That's fine. That's a pretty good combination you got there. I'm still going to brace it to a certain point. I'm still going to maybe EST it down an extra 1. This is it's definitely a good upgrade. It leads to situations where most of the time you're using your accuracies, not all the time. And then there are other occasions where your ISD2 is throwing 8 dice at a Gazanti or a flotilla, and you've got your 2 accuracies. The extra is damage, and that's overkill anyway. Against bigger ships, the extra accuracies you might be using to stop the redirects. And so you're blocking the brace, and you're blocking both redirects, and then you're not doing any extra damage anyway.
Don't block them.
Sure.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Shoot them.
Right, but I'm just saying, it's not S tier in the sense that it's the first upgrade I go to on a ship with other options available, which we're still going to get to. I'm just saying, with what we have coming up, I'm saying
mathematically, when we look at the other card that sets damage to 1, and it's Intensify Firepower, and it costs a command token or discard effect to set a die to 1 fleet wide, this card condenses that and is linearly more effective if you use it on a ship with more blue dice for
so that's
the same
why
amount
it's
of points.
S tier though, because it's only applicable to 3 ships.
I still think it's an amazing card.
We're not saying it's not. It is
like S. S is
It's again,
amazing. This
it's
is
the
an
other-
amazing card. It's S.
It's not like you can't.
It's
put
the
it on
other
every
ion cannon I had on my super. I took it to Worlds too. Like
even on a CR90B,
fantastic.
it makes a CR90B do 5 damage, y'all.
The other great part about
Wild.
it is, again, it doesn't exhaust, so you can tap.
Yeah.
Which
Another
is awesome.
thing is it applies to salvo, which is another good argument to have there. And I would even say that's even better argument because if I'm doing 1 damage and I have an accuracy, what am I going to block? I might as well do 2 damage.
Yeah.
So that's an argument for that.
High A tier, amazing ion slot. Next card is the illustrious. We're gonna call it the Overload Pulse. This is an 8-point upgrade. Blue crits, exhaust all the defender's defense tokens. Sorry. Timing wise, everybody, this happens after the spend defense token step. So your opponent will still get to use their defense tokens.
Which makes
And
me
then
sad.
after that, then
Makes
all
us
the
all sad.
remaining ones gets exhausted.
Yeah,
I feel like that wasn't the spirit that the card was created in.
It would be
So,
wildly
and
busted if it wasn't.
exactly, and that's it's the card that every player you get into Armada, you start looking at upgrade cards, and you see this. You see this card, blue crit, 8 points, exhaust all the defense tokens, because that's the thing that stops you the most. I'm rolling all my dice, I'm having a good time, but then my opponent has all the defense tokens. So this everybody sees it and they go, oh my god, how can I make this trigger? How can I do this? How can I make this happen? And it doesn't work the way you think it does until you learn about it.
I think the ultimate new player build that you see with this is they bring an ISD2 with Avenger and Overload Pulse.
Yeah.
Because they think they can exhaust the tokens and then say, hey, I'm Avenger, so you can't spend more than 1 exhausted defense token. And then you're like, oh, that's not how it works. And then they deflate. But yeah, but
the good old days of OP Avenger.
Yes, these are paired famously with boarding troopers. You overload pulse a ship with 1 ship, and then your other ship with boarding troopers comes on board and says, anyways, so all those defense tokens you have, they're gone now. Spend them all,
Raiders love overload pulse.
There's a lot of ships they could do overload.
Y'all may not think that doesn't happen that often, but y'all don't come from where we come from.
I want to say it could be a local thing, but our meta is full of it.
We got one guy to blame, and it's Ryan Icebecker.
Ryan Beck.
And he's been the bane of me and Garrett and Nick.
And me. Yep.
He's been preaching overload
He's
pulse.
been preaching this stuff.
Well,
poor Nick.
To be fair, when I tried my overload pulse build, it was because of Krabik. I was watching one of his shows, and that's where I decided, oh yeah, I'm gonna run a Raider with overload pulse and what's the upgrade to get the long range out of the
disposal capacitors?
Yeah.
Disposable capacitors.
Yep.
And then Sloan, right?
Weapon battery techs. Weapon battery techs, and then
that's the thing about overload pulse is it pairs chef's kiss with boarding troopers, but it goes with everything, right? Because anytime you turn the opponent's defense tokens red, I mean they're in this position where they have to spend them or die in a lot of cases. So this is truly S tier. If you're,
but I will say I don't.
Push it out.
Maybe I'm incorrect on this assumption, but I just feel like you never run it on your primary ship. You're always running it on a secondary ship to set up the primary.
That's correct. That's how you do it.
From fighting games, you'd call it a launcher, where it gets the opponent in the air, and then you start your combo.
Yeah.
Man, I need to make more builds with this card.
Overload pulse, yeah.
No, you don't. You're fine.
give people an even worse Reuben special, since that's the going thing right now.
I'm trying to think here. Sorry, I just had an idea. Yeah, so you can put this on a CIS Gazanti.
Yes.
And do some really funny things.
Yep. And just for everybody following along at home, okay, ion cannon batteries came out in wave 1 with a victory. SW7s came out Wave 2 with the Raider and with Home 1. Overlord Pulse came out Wave 1 with the Victory. They've been good since the beginning of the game.
I didn't know they were all that old.
They're all that old, and none of them have been changed.
Yeah, all original text points.
Yeah.
But yeah, Overlord Pulse, amazing. You guys got anything else?
Oh no.
No, although I didn't realize that I could use those on CIS Gazantes, so now I'm thinking, wow, they're actually worth something.
When that Gazante came out, everybody was like, "It's got an ion cannon. It's got weapons." It was so different.
But it doesn't have the stuff that it needs.
I need someone to get really good with Kraken and make something wild happen.
That someone is you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Do it.
Be the solution.
Yeah.
If only Kraken was just a little bit better. All right.
Anyways, for everyone, right before we get into two, we've got 2 left, and they're like really, really good, right?
3 left.
3. So,
and they're all S tier.
Make sure that when you're shooting your ion cannons and you're doing your cool combo, you don't let that little evade token ruin your whole night. So these 1-die attack pool things, you need the crit, right? And you need 1 crit in the pool, which means you need like weapon battery text, so you can kind of like say, hey, all these have 5 points of tax, and maybe that's why they don't get played as much, because the turbo lasers are more efficient. But everybody on this podcast has been dumpstered by a combo like this. Like, I've heard it. I've had it happen to me. Nick's been got. Garrett's been got.
I've done it to somebody.
You've done it to somebody. You've done it to somebody.
Yeah.
This stuff,
yes.
But you got to get your blue crits, and you need multiple of them in the pool when you're fighting those smalls or assault frigates and stuff. Because the worst thing that can happen is you can go blue crit enabled, and they go dodge the crit, and then you go, oh, damn.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I did it while I was running away.
You either have to have the accuracy to stop the evasion, or you have to have that's why you'd run Governor Price and like the super, was because it was like, I need to guarantee these blue crits because my ion cannon batteries need to go off so I can stop this overload pulsing. Like when you need to rely on a crit effect, you need a way to guarantee it, make it happen on your own terms. You can't just say like, I hope I roll one, because you're just not going to when you need to.
I only know one man that has the nerves of steel to go, I'll just roll it. and he does, which is the scary part.
Yeah, so Ryan, his CR90B is like his famous overload pulse boat.
God.
Like, he con fires in, and he has so many opportunities to get it because he double arcs you with his Raz drop. So he'll roll 4 blues out the front.
He's just gonna give me nightmares from Gen Con 2023.
Yeah, and then he's gonna roll, his backup out the side, and he's gonna get it. Like, it's gonna happen to you.
And
you're not gonna get rid of
says hi.
And if you need proof, back in January, it's actually on the YouTube channel. We streamed it. I played Ryan with my super against his Radis drop CR90 boarding trooper combo, and he did exactly that. He con-fired, he got his crit, and then I couldn't get away from the boarding troopers. That's not relevant to this conversation.
All right. Well, we need to pick up the pace a little bit here.
We're almost done.
I told you 2 hours.
Surely we have.
Yeah, I mean, we're good at dragging it out.
The next one I want to talk about. Next one is leading shots. This is 6 points. This card used to be a staple of the community.
Farewell, sweet prince.
While attacking, you may spend 1 blue die to re-roll any number of dice in your attack pool. Listen, this thing used to be the card you bring for dice mixing.
It used to be 4 points.
Yeah. It was every ISD took it, right? It's just, it's a perfect card for dice fixing. It's still good. It's just been replaced. There's so many other ways in this game to fix dice now. The Republic would love to have this card.
Yeah, you have clone gunners.
They have clone gunners. They're great.
So
leading shots.
This card's definitely more of a Superstar Destroyer card now, because of how builds and support for the ISD2 have changed.
Yeah.
You can also see it on the Doom Pickle build of Akbar on the Home 1, when you're shooting out the side, and then you Defiance in a blue, and then you use leading shots to reroll all your dice. All those glorious reds.
Yep.
Only big note about this card is that you need to look at your die pool, and you need to go, how many dice am I re-rolling? How many points of damage am I losing to re-roll those? And how many should I get when I re-roll? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to dump one of your blue hits or crits to re-roll one red. Don't do that. Optimal is like 3-ish. So just keep that in mind.
But if you roll a bunch of accuracies and you didn't take SW7s, you could use one to re-roll all the blue plus all the other reds and whatever you have available.
Yeah.
Very
And
good.
maybe you spike harder than you would if you had
Real
SW7.
hard.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Another thing to do is if you combo this with QBTs, quad battery turrets, which adds blue if you're attacking somebody who's going faster than you. So that means even at long range, if they're going faster than you, you can add a blue, and then you can sack that blue to reroll all your reds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Two really strong synergies.
Now that we're talking about this, I feel like myself, I don't know what to call it. I'm biased so gratuitous towards this card because of how good it used to be. Like, it's not seen anymore, really, even though it is amazing, right? Because, like, in the world of LTTs, Price, taking
Vet
a shot,
gunners,
Vet gunners,
Vader
yeah.
officer.
Vader
It's just-
officer.
Vader officer, yeah, huge, right?
Yep.
It's just, you don't need it anymore.
Yep.
But it's
And
still,
really-
like, a great card.
Came out with Wave 1 with a CR90.
Damn.
All right.
Yeah.
Computationally, you don't really need more than one reroll for 95% of the red die pools in the game. So LTGs is just optimal.
Right.
But like XI7s and a whole shit ton of reds, yeah, take leading shots, shoot them.
So yeah, leading shots, super good card. Next one here. This is amazing. Heavy ion emplacements behind me here. It's an exhaustible card. It's 9 points, and it's a blue crit card, and it's exhaustus card, and the defending hull zone and each adjacent hull zone loses 1 shield. So this is a 3 damage output blue crit plus the blue crit die. So if you roll a blue crit with this card, exhaust it, you're dealing 4 damage.
And that's
I don't know how much more needs to be said.
It's so good.
It's very good. It's a reason you see this is like the blue crit that you see on, I mean, Raider 2s, Victory 2s, even like some old
Liberties.
ISDs don't really take it anymore for other reasons, which we'll get to in a moment. But HIEs are also, the only thing I'll note for people out there is that it's counter synergistic with XI7s, which is something we talk about a lot. Zapping everybody's shields and then telling your opponent they cannot redirect. It's kind of like, well, I'm doing extra damage and then making you take it in one hull zone anyway. But if depending on your build, it's so good to have this on like a Raider 2, like a support ship that can soften up shields on your big haymaker that's coming in.
Or it
you
wrecks
just
the
make
day
that
of the small
haymaker.
ships, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is your damage haymaker blue crit.
Yep.
And I want to
I'm
say,
happy with
is
it.
the interdictor title
Can refresh it, but you
and
don't.
refresh it?
You
Which is
can't
cool.
attack twice with the.
Oh, that's true. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
because you exhaust it when you attack with it, but the interdictor can't refresh it during the attack. So
It's on the interdictor. I'm sorry. I was remembering something different in my head. I
yeah,
apologize.
you can put it on the
everybody.
interdictor because the
That's wrong.
interdictor doesn't throw a lot of dice, so it's a good way to get teeth on the interdictor because you throw
Yeah.
4 dice at the interdictor. You could put high cap ion turbines and then you throw 5 dice out the sides. HIEs it loves to have HIEs because it doesn't throw a lot of damage itself.
Yeah,
So-
HIEs or SW7s, your math's pretty close.
It takes a cheap ship and can output the same damage as a large base, right?
Mhm.
Getting 4 damage off is like getting shot by an ISD, worst
Yeah.
case. So plus the normal damage, especially when you're combining this with a Raider with X-Rax, right?
Yep.
Armored
that sucks.
cruiser, where you X-Rax them and then you hit them with the weapon battery techs and you HIE them and then you shoot them with that side shot.
Yeah,
Now,
that's how you destroy.
I'm
a
not
ship
sure
one
what
turn.
this comment means, so we may have to have some clarification. Die caps, HIE.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
decaps.
disposable caps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
disposal caps
Okay.
and the HIE at
Thank you.
long.
yeah. So you long range.
Okay.
Um, and before we move on, I wanted to say one more thing on the leading shots. It also applies to squadron attacks. So if you have a blue in your flak pool, then you can use a blue to reroll other squadron attacks. Back to HIEs. Okay. I don't know. I don't really have anything else on HIEs.
Okay.
It's
Well,
good.
you can,
I mean,
and leading shots can be combined with LTTs too, right?
yes.
That reroll. That's where the reroll comes in handy. But yeah, HIEs, amazing card. 1 die, 4 damage, get wrecked.
Really solid.
Last card, and this is controversial.
Hail
right,
to the
say
king.
least.
From newest wave.
Point defense ion cannons. I have no idea why this is an ion cannon slot, but
Because it's
whatever.
in the name.
All right, it is. It is 4 points. All right,
Yep.
outrageous. Number one, outrageously cheap. It can't go on the SSD. Okay,
Good.
non-huge ship only. All right. It is while defending at close range or distance 1. During the spin defense token step, you may force the attacker to reroll 1 die of your choice. Unlimited times, unlimited attacks.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Doesn't exhaust. Doesn't need any refresh. Just good.
Just the only stipulation is range. That is it.
Yep.
This thing is nuts. It is made single dice bombers almost useless.
Okay. So it's time for the hot takes. This card does not need that many changes. This card is extremely important for the health of this game. Leading shots is a good card that has made this game more balanced. Because if you look at the tournament history of
You mean point
Armada,
defense ion cannons? Pittix?
yeah, this
Yeah,
thing.
Pittix.
If you look at the tournament history of this game, squadrons have been massively imbalanced for like 90% of this game's lifetime. And you know what you don't see a lot of in most of like competitive Armada? Larges. Crap ships that can't mitigate the damage of squadron balls. Now, you actually see larges on the table. We get to see ISDs. We get to see assault, like MC-75s. We get to see Invincible on the table, and they're tanky, and they're the flagship, and they're commanding the squads, and we get the stuff that we like have the mental image of from like the Battle for Coruscant and Endor, right? The big ships brawling it out. Now, I will say, caveat, the fact that it also says, hey, black dice, shoo, when black dice are already way weaker, like really an issue. And that's why we've seen black dice attack ships basically disappear out of the meta. Gone. You need APTs and be able to shoot at long range to be able to do it, which is only basically one ship that you see, which is Pitch Your Fist. Other than that, I think this card is... I love this card. Like, I think this card is so good for the game because it makes more things playable when for most of the game's history, they weren't. Now, pass the mic.
Okay, well, I disagree because large ships, like 2-ship meta, was big before Pittix came out. But I also agree that it has made defending against squadrons much more real. But at the same time, it's really ruined a lot of bomber tactics in this game, which is, I think, is lame. All right, here's the thing. Star Wars is about fighter. It's like it's World War II in space, and bombers are super important. And this takes away incentive to run Bomber Command Center with single die bombers because they just don't.
Yeah, we both learned that this weekend.
They just don't perform. So at all. I don't have a good answer on how to balance this other than raising it in points or making it not apply. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge to really fix whatever feels bad about this card. I don't know.
And the good squadron bombing factions also just have the squad balls that they don't care about this card.
Because there's
They built
squadrons in the game that have double die bombs.
Yeah,
Blues.
they have double blues. Arcs have double blue. They're great.
It's
Merrick
it's
rerolls.
so that's what you see. You see double die bombers, right? Arcs, Vader, Jindin,
Yep.
Or you see black non-bomber.
yeah, Ketsu, stuff like that. So I also don't think it should be an ion cannon upgrade, because this takes away the slot on ships to put ion cannon slots on, and I feel like it should be an offensive retrofit.
I was gonna say offensive or defensive retro.
I think defensive retro, and I also think that probably more points.
Well, here's why I think it should be offensive, is because
it's
a good trade-off. Because if you're taking this in your offensive slot, you're not running squadrons, right, on that ship, and so this is a counter to squadrons. So if you're not running squadrons, you put this in the offensive slot, and then you're countering squadrons, but also taking away your ability to push squadrons better. You know what I mean?
Because theme-wise, offensive retrofit has hardened bulkheads, mines, expanded hangar bay, boosted comms,
reserve hangar decks,
hangar decks, right?
That's fair.
So that theme that tracks for offensive. I also kind of get the theme of it being close support guns, and that can be ion cannons because it's not really like your ordnance weapons, and it's like your close ion cannon, smaller gun support platform.
Yeah,
I get that too.
But like quad laser turrets are an offensive retrofit, and they're specifically counter squadrons. But here's my issue with it is it's not an ion cannon ability, right? It is
it doesn't affect your
blue die situation, which is thematically what it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah, I get that.
That's what makes it different than every other card on this list that we talked about.
Yeah, and then you can make it. Yeah, all of a sudden the Republic can take it, PDICs, which I understand why you don't give the Republic other blue things because of SPATs. But this is even better because if you take PDICs, you can't take SPATs.
Can't take SPATs.
I just think it's a slam dunk.
But then you're friggin' thermal shielding and PDICs, and that's just garbage. I don't want to live in that meta.
But the CIS can do that, and it's not like they're powerhouses, right? But yeah, PDICs.
I just feel like Gar has a lot more stuff that can get really abused because of how much better their squad ball is.
Well, I don't know. I think the stats show that Gar has a really hard time.
Yeah.
And if you're bringing squadrons, PDICs is less impactful because really PDICs screwing with my gladiator comes in and throws 6 dice and you make me roll my crit into a blank. Ooh, that hurts and it sucks. But we don't complain about PDICs in that regard. We complain about it. Well, we complain about it if you're
smalls occasionally.
And I put Screed back in my binder and I haven't touched them in a long time for the same reason. So I get it.
That's why we're both taking Bomber Command Center out of our fleets because it's pointless.
BCC is gone. But if you have squadrons, you don't need anti-squadron tech as much.
Right, 100%.
The reason you do need it is because you're typically only taking one large, which means that you need to not get blown up, which is why you still see PDICs.
But you still see PDICs because it's 4 points and unlimited rerolls.
4 points and it's the best card I can put in that slot.
You're gonna get close to something.
See, now you're making me wonder if I really need this for my CIS fleet.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
The answer is yes. Yeah, the answer, and that's unfortunately a lot of this game has kind of, especially again, this might be a local thing. Our meta has really devolved into a lot of really big tanky ships. So that's why you see all of us kind of running extra shield techs, PDICs, electronic countermeasures.
Yeah.
We all do that because we are all throwing really big punches to overcome each other's defenses, which only makes each other take more upgrades for our defenses.
And it's the only way that you can effectively command enough squadrons in one go to win the squad war. So you need one ship that can do a 5 or 6 squad push out of your 8 to alpha their squad ball, and get you that 1 or 2 kills so that you can roll the squad fight. Which means that you're taking a large.
I'm
Then-
using my squads a little bit differently though.
But like the logic train,
Yeah.
chain between how we're building our fleets. So we've got one large because we need to push all these squads. Like I need a large that can push 3, so I can have Finrau, so I can push all 7 of my squads. That means like I've got 134 points that are squads, and I've got a large. I'm not taking anything else, so I'm putting Agate on it, which means like I don't have any other options for rebel commanders for larges. I don't have a double dial commander. I don't have a like usable like squadron commander like Wolf or anything like that. Well, Yularen, where I can like make the arcs super tanky. I don't get any of those things. The only thing I have for that composition is Agate. There's not another meaningful one, which means I need defensive tech to keep this thing alive. So it gets the defensive tech. Now, I could bring Lalix, I could bring ESTs, I could bring Durlin, I could bring Ramus. Maybe like typically you take Lando squad. Stuck with 2 floats because you need them so that you can delay. And then I dumped in a lifeboat insurance so I don't get tabled, because now I can just push 90% of my fleet into my opponent and try and kill him. So like it just works that way. I mean, when you build the great Imperial squad ball, you go, oh, ISD2 pushes 4 natively. We can make it 5. We can then push 6 with the token. Oh, well, there's most of our points gone. Let's keep this thing alive and shooting. Oh, well, Thrawn, so we can double dial, so we can keep navving or engineering and do a squadron. And we'll just put Corvus on there, so then we can just have our really fast, really efficient squads in the middle of the board, so they can just shoot you turn 1 if you slightly are out of position. Like it just tracks, and we can go through Garrett's fleet, but I'm not going to take any more time because it's all the same logic.
Well, thank you guys. It has been a great discussion. I think next time, in a couple weeks when we do this show again, we are probably going to do weapons officers and see what we have to say about that.
Just the generics?
Weapon teams?
Yeah, weapon teams. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll make
Just
a list.
the generics.
Oh yeah, let's ask that.
I don't know how to do the factional stuff.
We should probably do all of them.
Okay.
Knock them all out. Okay.
There's only a handful of faction specific. We can put them kind of divide.
We're already long at this.
When do we do the double? We should do the boarding troopers and stuff during the offensive retrofit.
Sounds good.
There's only a couple of them.
All right. Well, with that, I am going to say good night to everybody here. Thank you for being on the show today.
SW7s for life.
I was good to see. Thanks for having us, Chris.
And we'll catch up with you guys on Thursday.
Yep, we'll see you there.
Have a good night.
Take care. So that's what we've got for you tonight. I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you got some useful information out of this. We are going to continue to talk about different upgrades as the show goes on, just so that you guys can get an idea of what we think and where these fit into the game right now. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Hopefully you find some useful information. If so, if there's something more that you want to comment on, or if you want to leave us some more information or ask some questions, we're on Discord. You can join the Facebook group. Or when we get this up on YouTube, you can go ahead and catch us on YouTube and leave it in the comments there. We have had comments on every different platform that we're on, so I want to thank you guys for participating in that. Also want to let you know that while I had car issues this past Thursday that kept me from doing Thursday Night Armada this past week, this week, barring a disaster, we should be on for Thursday Night Armada. So hopefully we will get some good games going on there. With that, again, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week.